Hello everyone, my name is Babak and I'll talk about developing diverse energy resources. And diverse energy resources, they have to be developed to improve urban and rural projects and to produce products and services on the customer side, vendor side, and in all stages of the supply chain. And diverse energy resources are needed to extract, process and distribute, recycle and recycle and transport products and materials in the circular economy. And energy is needed to extract minerals and materials from reservoirs and mines and from other materials through chemical and physical reactions. And in terms of the positive impact of developing diverse energy resources on material resources, some technologies they require rare materials, and so in order to resolve this problem, we could either modify the technology or use substitute materials to perform the task in hand. So again, developing diverse energy resources also improves the material resources because you're able to extract materials from minerals and reservoirs and other places aside from energy resources that are available in those locations. And again, diverse energy resources are needed to convert plastics and emissions like CO2 emissions into valuable products or feeds, and to perform critical endothermic reactions with the help of catalysts and nanostructures and plasma technology and many other technologies for environmental reasons. So again, energy is required uh, to have a positive impact on the environment and to take care of environmental emissions and other problems. And also, energy is required to develop industries like consumerism, healthcare, tourism, automation, manufacturing, transportation, and vital services, and any places that enhances a life for everyone and makes them happier. So, for example, in terms of having transportation with less passengers, like in airplanes, like the good old times. So again, energy is required for all of these purposes, and the improvement in energy and material resources uh, that would lead to more financial transactions. And when you have more financial transactions, that means more government revenues. So there'll be more sales transactions, more government revenues in terms of sales transactions, sales taxes. And when you have more government, that will lead to uh, more government subsidies or negative net present value funding. And all of these enhances the economy and decreases the unemployment rate. It eliminates poverty and improves living conditions for everyone. So basically, by developing diverse energy resources, the ultimate goal would be to improve living conditions for everyone. And that's, I think, what we all are aiming for. And for the energy resource and harvesting units, as you're well aware, there are hydrocarbons, nanogenerators, sustainable renewable energy resources, batteries, small modular reactors, solar, nanogenerators, and wind, geothermal, hydrogen fuel cells, and other means for generating energy. And now, if the cost of these type of projects is the cost is more than the revenue in the net present value discounting analysis, then we can use, well, private funding, or we can use incremental subsidy funding, and which would cost less than the full subsidy funding, and which would lead to less percentage of GDP that would be devoted for the uh, subsidy funding. So again, a solution would be, if the cost is more than revenue, we could use incremental subsidy financing for this purpose. Now, the examples of these type of projects are like as you're well aware, dry land development projects that everybody's looking for, where you pump the salty seawater, and you need to use desalination facilities. All of these require a lot of energy, but the resulting sweet water that comes out of it, you can use it for vegetation and to develop many new industries in dry lands, and which would lead to more towns and more recreational centers, more businesses, and that would have a dramatic increase in global trade and tourism to all of these beautiful locations, and real estate. So a lot of places which is not developed because they're dry, now they would be like they would be developed, and they have the uh, potential for residential and business purpose. They could be used for residents and businesses, and which would mean more real estate activities and more free lands that can be available for people to use, to live in, and to conduct their business. And I guess solar energy can be used for this project to supply energy in those dry locations, and other means of energy resources can also be used. Also, in cold places, well, if you can use, if you develop energy resources, we can use the energy to heat up the cold places, or to make better facilities for people to live in those locations. So a lot of people can be located to those places and live comfortably. And the cold season, they can it can be compensated by using energy resources to heat up the different locations on those cold places. And all of these energy development projects, or and related urban, rural, and other types of projects that comes out of it, they'll generate revenues for businesses, consumers, and organizations due to the consequential financial transactions and monetary or money multiplier effect, and that actually covers the cost of the project, and that will cover the cost of project if the project is if these projects are funded by incremental subsidy, or by private equity or private means. And so all of these projects, uh, it seems that they're costly, but in the incremental sense, when they're implemented, they would generate revenues, and those revenues that on a global sense, due to the enhanced increase in the transactions and the monetary multiplier effect, all those revenues incrementally can be used to pay off the expenses. And now, in terms of energy resources, as you're well aware, for example, let's use the example of the sun. Uh, the the solar energy of the sun that hits or intersects the Earth has a potential of producing energy 10,000 times. It produces 10,000 times the amount of energy. It's equivalent to 10,000 times the amount of energy that's needed uh, 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 for our energy needs. So, as you can see, just the energy of the sun, which hits the earth, the rays that hits Earth, the equivalent is the equivalent of 10,000 times the amount of energy that's being used right now. And now, so you can imagine the source of energy that's available, or which have been accumulated throughout years, or actually not years, throughout billions of years. And this energy, it could be in terms of potential energy, or in terms of in hidden materials, in reservoirs or mines or other places, or embedded in materials, and all of this potential energy that's available, and the current energy that we can use, for example, from like the solar energy or the wind energy, from the dynamics of the earth, the earth movement, and the ecosystem, the dynamic system that we have here, all the energy that's available right now, and through the potential energy that's been reserved in many locations. All of this means that we have a lot of energy resources that we can use, diverse energy resources, and we can develop all of them. And if you by means of energy centers, diverse energy centers, you can actually have all of diverse energy resources in central locations where they can help each other, because a lot of these energy resources, they supply the feed and product for each other. Or you can have them, all these energy resources, separately, but doesn't matter. But all of these can be developed, and the cost is no problem, because we have the incremental subsidy financing method, or other financing methods that we can use to cover the cost and the benefits that these projects give us. It's not like they give us benefits for after a long time of investing. Any sort of investment will show its benefit right away. So incrementally, all of the costs can be recovered, if the cost is done privately or by initial subsidies by government. And once we get rolling, once we continue with the process, with this process, there will be more funding, more money will be available, because when you have improvements in the economy due to more transactions, financial transactions, you would have more money in hand to develop more projects, which would again produce more financial transactions and improvements in economy. And the increase in GDP means that the percentage of the GDP that you're allowed to have subsidies would increase. And if you use incremental subsidy financing, that would be even much better. But that would even cover many projects. Many projects can be qualified. Many negative net present value projects can be qualified for this type of funding. So again, the cost is not a problem. And by developing all these energy resources, we not only improve, increase transactions, improve businesses, we improve living conditions for everyone. We can eliminate poverty. We can improve the economy, global economy, and this will have a positive impact for everyone. So the key is to develop diverse energy resources on a massive scale. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.